Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday. Happy Monday following July 4th long weekend. Happy Monday where we are back to discuss more Bearcat talk, Bearcat news, Bearcat information, Bearcat Bounce. Welcome Monday leading into Big 12 Media Days for Bearcat football, year 2 in the Big 12, year 2 of the Scott Satterfield era. And of course, welcome to a Monday where, yet again, our fearless leader, the man, the myth, was able to take in a little bit of a non-birdie fun. So we're going to dive into that as well. But it's also a Monday where I get to pal around with 3 guys that I truly love to sit down and talk to every single moment that I get. And that comes a lot of Mondays. Almost every Monday. So without further ado, the guys, the group, the squad, we are all here already. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, happy 4th, and how are we?
Doing well. It's been busy over the past 5-6 days. Bouncing around with the kid and volleyball and fireworks and radio and parties getting canceled and rescheduled. And I have another thing I'd like. So yesterday Kelsey went to a birthday party.
Okay.
And part of the birthday party was they went to a drive-in movie theater.
Oh, interesting.
Awesome, right?
Yeah.
It's a double feature. It started at 9:15.
Nice.
The movies got over at 1 a.m. Kelsey was dropped off at 2 a.m. at home.
Wow.
And I have a proposal going forward that if you have my kid past midnight, they are your kid until tomorrow.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Because at 2 a.m.
Now the reasoning
time to go to bed. Have a sleepover at 2 a.m.
Right. Well, the reasoning wasn't terrible. The kid was getting up and going shopping for her birthday with her grandma at like 9. So I would have had to have been there to pick her up at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
How quickly that rule's going to change when she has a boyfriend.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about this specific situation.
You're home by 9.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like 8.
If you have her after midnight, she's yours. No.
No. But no, other than that, it was good. A lot going on. But for me, in my brain, we are now, it's go time. Like It is lead up to camp, lead up to the season. Like it's once the 4th of July hits and we're on the other side of the 4th of July, like it's time to push because, before long, we're going to be rolling out to Camp Higher Ground and kicking off, a season that's going to be fascinating for so many reasons.
Entirely correct. Which is why we're going to dive into it. And it's a hot topic right now, if you will. Big 12 Media Days hot topic. It's over 110 degrees down there in Vegas.
Yesterday was the hottest day in the history of Las Vegas.
Unreal.
Like since they started keeping track of that thing, who knows?
1937 was, I think, the first year that they.
The world's been around for like 4 billion years. That's a drop in the bucket.
It's long for it's like thousands and thousands of days in a place that's always hot. It's 120 degrees. Like the thing is,
who knows how good thermometers were back then? Who knows?
Here's the thing for me. The thing for me is not the high temperature during the day. The thing for me is we were looking at it today. I was at Mio's getting some pizza and talking to the bartender. You know what it's going to be at 11 o'clock tonight?
90?
No.
Oh, it's going to drop?
101.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be 101 degrees at 11 p.m. The coolest that it will be 87 degrees at 6 a.m. That's the low for the day.
No humidity, no sun. That 101 is going to feel glorious.
Oh, it's so hot. No, like we did that when we went out a couple of years ago. It was 94 degrees at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And like, this is stupid. This is dumb. The sun is down. The temperature is supposed to drop.
Go into those resorts where they pump not only AC throughout, but oxygen as well, and just have yourself a time once you finish your duties that are outside. There's no true reason at all for Keegan to be attending a pool party. Yes, Bearcat Mick, it is dry heat in Vegas, but still,
It's 120 degrees.
I would rather not be in that.
No, God,
Says the man in Florida. I mean, either way, it is how it is. But Aaron, we're gonna dive in more to the Vegas talk. But I want to know how was your long weekend? And Ryan, you can kind of attest to this too, because Chad had to do a little radio on Friday. The days got really weird. Like Friday,
I had no idea what day it was.
Sunday,
no idea.
Friday felt like Sunday, Saturday. I was like, wait, is this we get another Sunday or is this another Saturday?
I wanted to say Monday like 5 times on the radio Friday.
Oh my God,
it's Monday. No, it's Friday.
I was so confused. And then of course on Sunday I was just like, on Sunday I was low key begging for Monday to come. Like it was.
Aaron's got a baby and a toddler. He has no idea. He hasn't had any idea what day it is since the baby was born.
We're just trying to keep the baby alive from hour to hour. Brennix took a My Little Pony and hit the baby in the head with it today, and we're like, what are we doing? She's officially on her terrible twos. It's about a week early here.
Okay.
But no, we took the babies to fireworks.
Baby.
Man, you aren't kidding. It's not the first time she's hit her in the head. It's so stupid. Wasn't the only time today she hit her in the head. I don't. What are we doing? Yep. We took the kids to the fireworks. Athens had some fireworks out here.
Okay.
They got pushed back till from 10 to like 10:30 because of rain coming through. But we did make it through Brennix's first fireworks show, and
Yes.
And Bexley's first fireworks show as well. So outside of that, we're just happy the baby's still alive here.
I'm proud of you. Slamming smash burgers and just really enjoying the sun. There we go. Loving the Reds hot streak, the FC Cincinnati hot streak. I mean
No, let's pump the brakes. They just got swept by the Tigers.
Well, okay, yes, true, but I'm talking about the Yankees little hot streak there.
What have you done for me lately?
Rain and shine. Yet again, remember, literally not even knowing what day it was. That's where
ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows. Royer, the boy, the lake man, lake maid. How are we? How was it up there?
It was great. Got a lot of sun. Got out on Lake Erie. It was a little busy out there, but it was still great weather. It was a great time. Going back again this weekend coming up. So I think the lady gave me permission to infiltrate the lake house with my buddies. So we're gonna have a little
Worse
Bearcat.
than last time.
We're gonna have some Bearcats up there. A little Spawn Cellar and Bolden action. Burton, Will Adams, all the superstars back in the day. We're gonna be up there again, but should be a good time.
Which one of them is going to join the podcast?
Hey, Bryce will do this shit in a
ask.
heartbeat. We'll get Bryce on next week, and he can annoy the fuck out of you guys. Oh, annoy the crap out of you guys like he does to me.
That's $20. That's $20 out of your check, Royer.
Nah, it'll be good.
Dang.
Yeah. Golly. Well, yeah.
Sorry, when I start talking about Bryce, I lose my composure.
It flows out.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of that effery. So tell me,
if we have Bryce on, we're just going to have to count on that being demonetized, right?
Right.
Yeah. For everyone who doesn't know, Bryce Byrne is the holder. He was the holder of wasn't good enough to kick.
He tried.
He found a spot though, so you got to find a spot.
You do.
And then what? Weren't you the holder coach your senior year or something?
Yeah, I was Brian Mason's assistant because we were missing all those field goals, and the kickers were saying that Bryce was spotting the ball wrong. So then I became the holder coach. I would just sit there on a knee, like right next to Bryce, and like just see if the ball, the ball was going where it's supposed to.
Golly. Well, were you losing track of days too?
No, I wasn't. I was pretty on top of it.
Must be the age. Must be the damn age. But I mean, either way, if you lose track of days and all of a sudden your car is in desperate need of an oil change or desperate need of something to kickstart it up to get the post July 4th fun out of the way, we're gonna head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe will hook you up. $10 off that oil change, 10% off your next service. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. We love Danco Joe, of course, every week. Love you. But let's dive right into it. I mean, one big thing would be is the holder going to be Fletch again for field goals? Who might be the holder this year? That's going to be a big question. And Royer, maybe we can get that out of the staff and the players this upcoming week as they head to sunny Las Vegas, as we mentioned, to kick off the Big 12 Media Days. They were flying on the jet today, arrived tomorrow. Well, they probably arrived today, but fires up tomorrow. Man, yet again, give it to your Mark. He's gonna put on a show and take it to sunny Las Vegas for Big 12 Media Days. I guess first topic we got to bring up is Royer. Every single time that it was brought up in pressers to Luke and the previous staff, it was we never look at those kind of things. It's not we don't care about what this and that says about us. We're going to focus on us, and that's all that matters. Well, being picked 14th in the preseason Big 12 media poll is might be something that you might want to throw up as a little bit of bulletin board material. I guess your guys' thoughts first and foremost as we open that off of what exactly the rankings came out preseason media poll. Where do you feel as if it was fair, as if it was Bearcats are too low, or as if it was a wait and see type thing? As 14, that's pretty low number to stomach right off the bat.
I thought it was low, but I mean, I can't, you can't, we were so bad last year, but I don't think we're going to be 14th this year. But yeah, Chad does have a point. Win games. Didn't win a lot of games last year. Didn't win a lot of games in the Big 12. So I can't like pound my fist on the table and say these guys are idiots for dropping us so low, but I just don't think we're going to finish at that spot. I think we're going to be right around 7 to 8 wins. So I don't think that's going to have us 14th, but unless we just lose every single conference game, then win all the other ones, damn near. We go 1-6. Wait, what would it be? We play 12 games still, right? Even with all the teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we'd have
Chad,
to go 1-5.
I mean, I don't know how you could be upset about it. Like the only team they beat last year in the conference was Houston. Houston's below them. Arizona State's expected to be pretty bad. They're below Cincinnati. Everybody else is ahead. Like, if you want to make a statement going forward, the way you earn the benefit of the doubt is to win. And until you show that you can win in this league, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Like, there's still a lot to be answered.
Yeah.
In terms of, is this team going to be significantly better? I think they can be, but the defense has to show up. The defense has to be good. I mean, they don't have to be great, but they can't be terrible. And the offense has to find a passing game. So I think, those things are reasonable asks for a team that we don't know a lot about, because there still is, you're dealing with that attrition and that turnover of a coaching change. You're trying to get the roster not only in the vision that you see it, but I mean, how many times have we talked about how they just didn't look like a Big 12 team last year? They didn't have the size or the length or the speed. And I think we looked at it in the spring and said, these guys look the part a lot more, but I don't think that they're fully in a place where they look, or they're going to be like a team that runs out on the field and looks like the top teams in the Big 12 yet. I think that's still a work in progress. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's something that you have to earn. It's not going to be given to you. And they proved in the Big East that they could compete for a Big East championship every year. But guess what? In the beginning, everybody predicted them to be a bottom feeder of the Big East pretty much every year.
Right.
And then they earned that respect, and then they were picked near the top every year. That's how you earn it. Like, we talked about Mick in the past, where the first half of Mick's tenure, that team did not earn a lot of respect. And then they started winning, and people started projecting them higher and projecting them in the tournament every year and picking them to win the American Athletic Conference every year. And, it's one of those things that it's not going to come easy, especially in this league, because this league is so wildly all over the place in terms of how good people think this team's going to be or that team's going to be, or, whatever fan base you're a part of. Just win,
Yeah.
and then you'll earn some respect going into next year. But for this year, this is what you've earned. You've earned being picked 14th. I think that's fair.
Yeah, Aaron, thanks for throwing that up. Obviously, the main topic for this pod and for the site and everything is the fact that Bearcats are 14th, third to last, as you mentioned, Arizona State and Houston behind them. But you take a look at 1 through 5, Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Arizona all also received first place votes. So it's like you said, Chad, it's kind of all over the place. Utah does have a slight advantage over Kansas State in the overall voting, but you keep looking down and you see the Iowa States, the West Virginias, UCF is the first of the semi-new, the holdovers that came with Cincinnati and Houston to be listed there at 8th. Then you go Texas Tech, TCU, Colorado. Colorado ranked 11th in the preseason Big 12 poll, but yet I think EA Sports had them as the 11th overall team or something along those lines. So interesting to see you there, Aaron, as you are a big proponent of EA Sports college football.
Aaron and I talked about that. I think that is the product of Colorado legitimately does have a couple superstars,
right,
which are going to take that rating and
bump it up,
push it way, way up. Maybe in comparison to what the rest of their roster looks like. Yeah,
I agree with that. But Aaron, anything else jump off the page for you with the preseason poll coming out? And obviously it's going to be talked a lot about tomorrow when the Big 12 Media Days fire up.
Yeah, we talked about this when we broke it down on one of our nightcaps. But you only play one of those top 5 teams that had those first place votes. And then you do play 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So you're playing the whole middle of the pack. But you're only playing one of those top 5 teams. And if that's the case, I mean, we talked about this last year. We had a favorable schedule. It didn't work out in our favor, but all considering going into the first year of the Big 12, it was a fairly favorable schedule. You're coming into year 2 with, again, what I would consider in the preseason, it was considered a favorable schedule.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
And you're coming in again to preseason with a favorable schedule. We'll see where everything lies once the dust settles. But, I mean, you were within enough games to make them competitive, but you just got to figure out how to get over that hump. And unfortunately, that's not what the Bearcats were able to do last year. You got to figure out how to win some of those coin flip games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other note that came out was Luke Kandra and Dante Corleone being picked for the preseason first team all Big 12 team for on offense and defense, respectively. That's also one of the storylines that Keegan had on his article. You can go read that on bearcatjournal.com. Just a primer for what the Big 12 Media Days will hold and kind of what he's looking at storyline-wise to kind of, pick the brain a little bit more of Sat and the players in attendance. But let's go around the circle, guys. Kind of what big storyline, whether it's Cincinnati-centric or kind of Big 12 as a whole, that you might find interesting in the next couple of days that'll be revealed in Las Vegas. Chad, I'll go to you and just all the way around the circle.
I mean, I don't think you're going to find anything interesting that'll be revealed in Vegas the next 2 days. It's the whole
realignment thing is just a constant topic everywhere, but I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that are pretty dialed in that feel like we're going to see something happen in the ACC this month.
Yeah.
So but they're not going to talk about it tomorrow. Like I'm sure there'll be questions, but that all still is going to play out in the future. Everybody will focus on the newcomers tomorrow. Look, Colorado is going to be one of the main storylines, whether you like it or not. But Arizona is fascinating. Utah is fascinating because they weren't built like a Pac-12 team.
Right.
Like they're more built like a Big 12 team coming into the league. I think that's why some are very bullish on Utah. But I don't know if you're looking for anything like earth-shattering to come out of Vegas. I think you're going to be disappointed. Although there's always the chance Yormark says something that gets people talking.
Yeah. Well, Yormark will definitely have some quotable moments of that. I have zero doubt. I hope they walk out of Vegas with a brand new name for the conference. I hope it's the 7-Eleven always open 12 conference or whatever it is that you want to call it.
If it's going to be all, I think everybody's convinced it's going to be all state. I just want it to be mayhem. Just mayhem.
Ooh, I kind of like that. Mayhem 12?
Not Mayhem 12, not Mayhem 16.
Just Mayhem. Okay.
Mayhem. I mean, it's going to be 12,
right.
like whatever the number
or
is.
Maybe they had it in Vegas on purpose and it'll just be like, the MGM Grand 12 or something along those lines. It's like,
who cares?
The Grande 12.
I want them to walk out of Vegas holding a giant check for each school because it was given to them because they got a new name for the conference. I think that would be fun, exciting, and would have people talking for a while until somebody else renamed their conference, which we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Royer storyline heading into the old Big 12 media days. Gosh, like what is that like? How was the selection process for who's going to be in attendance? And then was it always like a big, this is fun. Let's head on down to the AAC media days. And
everybody want to go to the lobster
and see how much lobster we can slam down.
I never knew how they picked who. It was kind of just, I think Coach Fickle might have just grabbed them and told them, hey, you're coming with me. Yeah. It was never something I was like jealous of, I guess. But there wasn't really much to it, and much to the selection. Didn't seem like there was much to it down there. When the guys came back, they weren't like raving about it or anything. But going to Vegas, Big 12 Media Day might be a little bit more enticing. There might be some more stories to be had. There might be a little bit more activities, more entertainment, but I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for the new additions. I think it's made the conference, losing Texas and losing Oklahoma. That's hard, being like the blue blood programs that they are. And it's always exciting to have them around and get a chance to go out like the best. Like they recruit the best. They always have, so to say, the best coaches. So it would have been nice to kind of always get a good litmus test with them every year. But I think they brought in some really solid teams. So I'm excited to see. I'm intrigued with Utah, like Chad said, because they've just been so solid for so long, but solid in kind of like a unique way for the conference that they were in. I think the way they played, the way they were coached kind of made it easier for them to succeed in a Pac-12 style with offense and defense. I think they were able to kind of tap into like what teams didn't do very well in the Pac-12. I'm excited to see how that stacks up now in the Big 12, if it's going to translate directly, because I think there are some similarities, but I also think there are like you're getting like a lot of tougher like Midwest style cultures. There's more of that, I think, in the Big 12 now with us specifically, if we can kind of figure it out in the next couple of years. So that's a team I'm looking to kind of see what they're about at the media day and kind of how that might translate and pan out in this new conference.
For me, and of course it's going to be unlikely to see, nothing earth shattering is going to be revealed as far as Cincinnati Bearcats go. But I did find it interesting to see, Derek Canteen being chosen as one of the players in attendance for the Bearcats. And I do want to kind of get some sort of an inkling. And this was one of Keegan's storylines to watch going into it, is just that defense is, especially the defensive backfield, got a complete, facelift, overhaul, whatever you want to call it. And I want to see if how workouts has anyone started to separate themselves, as whether it's showing leadership skills, whether it's kind of been a vocal guy that might be able to step in and be in that 3 safety look and be the starter or whatnot, or if there's been any defining of things. And obviously Camp Higher Ground will expose that a lot more, but I do want to kind of see the progress that from, obviously, because we've had Nico on a bunch and he's given us his point of view on things. We've spoken with plenty of coaches, but I do want to hear what Sat has to say, in front of media from all over the Big 12 about, the newcomers that have come in and kind of who he talks up. Sorsby obviously will be a big topic of conversation as well. But in the end, it'll be interesting to see how people even ask certain questions about players on certain teams, because it's just, hey, first off, you're a new school. Welcome to the Big 12. And who are all these new players that only one of them was, or 2 of them was on your team last year? It's a crazy new phenomenon, but it'll be exciting to kind of pipe in and see what's going on. Chad, you sent Keegan. He's there. Vegas is he prepared to be locked in?
I asked him something about I was actually talking to him about the whole, like, at 11 o'clock at night it's going to be 101 degrees, and his response was, at 11 o'clock at night I will be sound asleep in my bed. And I was like, they not like us, they not like us, they not like us,
man. We can have a certain show. I'll talk about our Vegas stories on here one night and just go on.
I kind of hear good on that one.
That was funny.
I didn't get it, but you got him good, I think. Oh yeah, actually no, I did get it. My bad. Sorry, I'm not putting 2 and 2 together there. Yes,
it was only the biggest story of June.
Yet
the
again,
biggest song in a decade.
Right. Yet again. The long weekend was a very long weekend for me. Let's just put it that. But anything more kind of Cincinnati based that you think you might want to hear from either any of the players or from Coach Sat or anything along those lines? Or obviously there wasn't any big reveals last year. I think it was more kind of just Emory and kind of seeing how he was able to step into, the starting role at QB and things of that sort. Or, media days are always interesting because you do get the big opening talk where I'm sure someone will have some nice remarks about Oklahoma and Texas, or maybe they just literally tell every team, do not mention one word of them, and then that way it's like, oh, even better. Yeah, horns down, official. We'll
What's
see.
in the past is in the past. They gone.
Yeah, they are. That they are.
I want to hear about Fletch. Like, how much better is he feeling? Like, there was like all year last year, we were like, he just doesn't. It's not like something is
off,
a little off. Like that
he's
is not
good.
the guy
He's
we
still
watched.
good,
Yeah,
but he's not.
He was still good, but he he had a gear that we didn't ever get last year from him.
Yep.
So I'm interested to hear how he's how much better he's feeling from the surgery. And I'm really interested to hear from Derek Canteen. That's a dude that we saw when he first got here, like really good on the mic. I want to hear his take on this defense and what position it's gonna, put him in, and how he feels about, where things are as I think the first day they're allowed to start camp is August 3rd. 28 days from your first game, you get 4 weeks. The crazy thing is, I don't think they're going to get that long at Higher Ground. I know Royer had a year like this where They can't start till August 3rd, and I think school starts on the 19th. So
Wow.
there's only 16 days possible that they can even be at and 15 days possible that they can even be at higher ground. You guys had one of those years where you only got like just under 2 weeks up there, right?
Yeah. Because then
Do
you'd
you
always
think
come back for the scrimmage too. You throw that in
Yeah.
there. It doesn't even count as being in a higher ground day. And we normally did 2 days.
And you have the 4 days of acclimation. Like,
Yeah.
they're not. The thing is, they'll still get to do camp when they get back to Nippert.
It ain't the
They
same,
can still
though.
treat it like camp, but it's not the same.
I wouldn't bet. Aaron, you got anything to add?
No, I think we've covered all of it at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll ask about Dante and whatnot, and that'll be good to just continue hearing about it and different things of that sort. Corey Kiner will be another interesting one because Chad, you've mentioned on a couple of different pods how deep the running back position is in the Big 12, and the fact that Kiner is returning, but not really a headline name in the running back rooms and across the league. So
he's down around what 7 through 10 probably in starting running backs in the league for a guy that just rushed for 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you, he thinks higher of himself than what plenty of the media polls and different rankings out there have him at. So he'll be interesting to hear talk as well because he's put in a ton of work this offseason, it seems. So it'll be exciting. It's just another one of those steps towards the beginning of college football season. What we are, let's see, 54 days away, I believe. So we are we're live and well, and we got Keegan boots on the ground, as they say. Ready to.
I think he's going to have a chance to join us tomorrow for the nightcap.
Nice.
I don't know if we'll have a regular nightcap or if I'll go with Keegan and then Aaron will have his show with George. One way or the other, we'll get thoughts on him, and then he's going to join Dave and I think on Wednesday as well once things are fully complete from Vegas. So.
Did they mention which day is which for
Cincinnati's tomorrow?
Okay. Yeah. I didn't see the complete agenda put out there, but yep. Okay, now I see it. Yep.
I probably should have made his ass come home Wednesday because he's not going to do a Vegas trip justice.
He's probably pumped for little Coach Prime. Little Gus Malzahn. He put a mention of the Central Florida Golden Knights down in the
what are we
in his
doing?
article.
What are we doing?
What's going on here, man? But it'll be good, fun to hear from all these new names, especially at 10 a.m. Commissioner Brett Yormark on the mic. It will be fun to hear what he says, and then of course 11:40 you have Coach Scott Satterfield right after. The team picked to finish second in the preseason media poll, the Kansas State Wildcats. So, yeah, that'll be fun. Vegas is here. Keegan, hopefully he's got some crazy story for you. Seeing Prime out and enjoying the Vegas lights or something along those lines. Who knows? But
I think he's out having a nice dinner tonight.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I mean, if you're going to go to Vegas, you gotta get some good food.
Oh,
couple times at least.
You have to, at the very least. One other thing was Jordan Robinson, the football program, announced his that he is added to the team. Anything more on that at all, Chad, Aaron?
No, it was just an admissions situation that didn't get handled the first time. And then they were able to get it worked out. So he's good to go.
Strong addition. Hopefully one of those that could be in the mix to play right away.
Hopefully he can get out there and lock some guys up.
Yeah.
As Dave said.
There we go. Lock them up. I love that. Well, there we go. So that's football for you. Football recruiting, always ongoing. So plenty of action on the board with that one.
You want to talk football recruiting? I got an hour or two of content I could do on that.
If you want to,
Not really.
we can, but no, it's
Not
no
really.
no new commitments, so we will not dive too much into that. But aside from that, we can go ahead and timestamp.
Actually, I did want to address something.
Okay.
I've seen a narrative. I've seen a narrative start to a false narrative, but a narrative start to emerge from our conversations with Zach Grant.
Okay.
And people have I don't know where this started from, but it's not the vibe I get from Zach. I'd be interested in Ryan answering some of this as well. That where this people are saying Cincinnati's philosophy is to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't think that's it at all. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think Zach has detailed we have some, like, we are not at the top of the food chain in the recruiting world. So we have some disadvantages that we have to overcome. And this is our strategy on how to overcome those disadvantages. A lot of that includes every cycle. There are guys that start out with mid-major offers. And then as the cycle goes on, all of a sudden they end up with 10, 12, whatever, Power 4 programs that are interested in them. Cincinnati's philosophy being we want to be one of the first of the power programs to offer these guys. So that hopefully that gives us an advantage because we got in early. That's not acting like you're the smartest person in the room. That is identifying we are not the alpha. We are not the apex predator in the recruiting world. So if we're going to eat, we have to figure out the most effective way to hunt.
Slow play.
But it's not even slow play. It's like we feel like if we are going to take advantage of the recruiting cycle, our way to take advantage is to try to be early on some of these guys. That means on paper, it's going to look like, oh, well, they were offered a kid that's only being recruited by these G5 programs. Well, you can't then get upset when other schools in the Power 4 figure out, oh, they've recruited a kid that we want. And we're now they were in early, they got a commitment. Now we're going to go try to flip that guy because we've discovered what they, found on tape or what they,
it's a good way to go about it.
Right? Like you have to work angles. It's life.
Because the kid's gonna say, "Oh, Cincinnati bet on me before anyone else did." Like they saw my value. I have a deeper relationship because I've been in communication with them for longer. But flip side of the coin, if you jump the gun too quick and you just start throwing offers to a couple guys that you're just trying to be first on, you might end up with some guys that you're like, oh, we might have wasted 3 scholarships this round because these guys aren't going to pan out. But in this day and age, that shit is way easier to overcome now than it was back when I first started playing. So it it almost incentivizes like taking a little bit more risk because you can always – because chances are if you're getting a kid, if any kid that's going to play fresh out of high school, like it's not a risk. Like you knew he was good enough. You have him ready to go. Like in camp, he's getting reps and he's proving himself. And pretty much everyone knew he was capable. So it's like those. You might be taking like the bottom 5 recruits in your class, and sometimes those guys pan out to be like starters, like junior and senior year, and they end up being really good. They might even go to the league. But you're kind of gambling with those kind of bottom 5 guys that, these guys might not pan out because we wanted to get to them first and stuff along those lines. But that's been the philosophy in the American. And I mean, you think about like some of the local guys we were able to retain because we kind of got in there quick with them, and like we maintained our relationship and kind of promoting the hometown hero vibe, and that seemed to work really well with guys, especially like, hey, come play for your city. We believed in you first before all these other bigger teams. Like, you could stay home, like, do everything a kid dreams of doing. It works a lot easier for that, but I do agree with Chad that it's not like we're trying to like do rocket science here.
We're smarter than everybody else. No, we're just trying to figure out a strategy that's going to be effective for us.
Because we don't have the funds to go up against like the bigger programs
Michigan,
with
Ohio
deeper
State.
pockets.
Yeah.
Like, I know everyone hates the Buckeyes, but like, and they always try to be big brother, and that rubs everyone the wrong way. But they just have more money. So if we want to steal a kid from Ohio State, we're gonna have to really like get in there early with the kid, like these kids that Ohio State might be flying under their radar, and try to win with relationships and belief over, millions of dollars.
The reality is, Ryan, if Ohio State comes in, they're going to get the kid.
Yeah.
Marcus, come on, bro. Do you know exactly? That is not what I'm saying at all. Come on. What I'm saying is, go ahead.
At the end of the day, when you see teams like Illinois or Minnesota or an Indiana, or those are all teams that have been part of the Big Ten for a long, long time, just been collecting money, raking money. And now, I mean, they're going to have situations where they're able to pay kids more, plain and simple. It's not. It's easy math. This isn't hard math. This isn't. You don't have to look too deep into any of it.
Let's also be honest, Aaron. They played like crap last year. There's not a lot of momentum right now. They have to win. It goes back to the same thing I said about being picked 14th.
Well,
you should win a local kid instead of Purdue. Based on what, Randy? Honestly, based on what?
Yeah, like 4 years ago, we were winning all those battles.
Still lost some though.
I think we were
quite a few. No.
Going into the playoff year,
there were still a lot of Ohio kids that were leaving the state, staying in the Big Ten, or going to like Kentucky in the SEC. You were winning some of them. You were winning more than they're winning now, but there were still a lot of kids that they wanted that got away. What's up, D. Johnson? How you doing, brother?
And Chad.
I love Marcus. Marcus is my boy. Yeah. So I'm just giving him a hard time. I also have a theory. I have an interesting theory. I floated this to Aaron and Brent. Ryan was not in the pre-show meeting yet. Guys like everybody points to Josh Wiley and Malik Van and that group of guys. This is just a Chad theory. This is not anything I've heard from anybody else. It's something that popped up in my brain. There's a study that shows kids pick their allegiances in sports in when they're 8 to 11 years old. That's when you really you probably have your heart broken by a team for the first time, or your team wins a championship and it was your first real true emotional experience watching a team. Well, guess what happened when guys like Wiley and Van and that crew were 8 to 10, 11 years old? UC went to the Peach and Sugar Bowl, or the Orange and Sugar Bowl. Sorry. And they had Brian Kelly, and they were fun, and they captivated the city. You know what happened 8 years ago? Tommy Tuberville happened 8 years ago.
Senator Tuberville.
So this is a group of kids coming through the city at a time when Cincinnati was bad, or at least not good, or not fun to watch. There wasn't anything compelling about that. And that's something, the reason I bring that up is because that's something the Blue Bloods don't really have to deal with. The diehards always love the Blue Bloods always have, if they have a bad year, obviously the fans are going to be pissed, but nobody's hopping off the bandwagon or being apathetic or not being an Ohio State fan. I like in Cincinnati, it was so new. So new. BK, like D'Antonio had that, the storming the field against Rutgers, and then BK came in and captivated the city. Butch didn't lose the fan base, but I don't think he took it. He definitely didn't take it any higher than BK did. And then Tuberville came in, and you saw a steep decline. And I wonder how many of these kids that are in this group right now of high school kids they weren't Bearcats, excuse me. They weren't guys that were diehard going like, you talk to Josh and Malik and Jarrell White and those guys, like those teams captivated the city of Cincinnati. And I don't think you have that with this group that is making high school decisions right now. Now, what'll be fun is 3 more years from now, you're going to have a group of kids that fell in love with Cincinnati, watching them go to the Peach Bowl and go to the Sugar Bowl. But I think in that cycle, when you're a program like Cincinnati, that your history is successful, as relevant, is still very new. I think you're going to see cycles with these local high school kids where when the program is up, those kids that grew up in that are going to be more locked in. And when the program is down, you're going to have kids that didn't grow up caught up in that fever. I don't know. It's not a foolproof theory, but there are studies that show that range, like 8 to 11, 8 to 12 years old, is when people tend to pick their lifelong, like, rooting interests. And I don't think anybody was picking Cincinnati as their lifelong rooting interest when Tommy Tuberville was here. Just saying. Go to hell, get a job.
I think that's a really good take, Chad.
I think it's just, it's just something that's crossed my mind that this is a group of kids that when they went through that decision-making process, things weren't great in Cleveland.
Kids love winners. They love heroes. Right. They want to look up to people. They like, and when you're
Tony Pike, Marty Gilliard, Andre Revels, Terrell Bird, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and now it's going to be to the point where, because you do see in some of the recruiting articles, recruits mention like Sauce Gardner and players like that. So it's like a recency bias type thing, but then also in that same recency bias is that 3-9 season last year. So it's kind of
if they were 10-2 last year, Brent, you don't have to deal with that as much,
right,
because there's momentum.
Yeah, and it's like there were really good players on the team last year, definitely, but it wasn't really at the height and the peak. And then so now you think about it a little bit more, then you got to look into it. And I agree with what someone said. The thought when you just instantly enter the Big 12, it's going to be a massive bump in every recruit. There's so much more that goes into recruiting than just that. So I think the Big 12 bump is massive, and it's going to continue to feel its effects more and more, and especially as Cincinnati gets into that, the full share side of things on top of it, it's going to be a progressive build. But I also think, between my ages of 8 to 12, the best college basketball team in the country lost their star player in the first few minutes of the conference tournament. So, yeah. I had my heart broken between the ages of 8 to 12 as a young lad. So I think you're completely right, because now I'm fully obsessed with everything Cincinnati Bearcats. So that is a good way to look at things, especially now So you're telling me the return to the playoff is in what? So you got to do quick math here. 8 to 12-year-olds, add about 8 more years. So it's about 3 or 4 years away. Is that math right, Aaron?
Sure.
Okay, good. Very interesting theory, and all the people talking about how much how all these stadium things. That's a whole different conversation for a different time. But we got to.
Well, I would just say that's completely false.
Yeah,
playing at Paul Brown. The reason that it's false is because you have different partners than the Bengals. Right. So, like, if the Bengals have, like, I know, like Coke or Pepsi. If you have the other one, you cannot bring your partner with you to Paul Brown Stadium. Paul Brown Stadium is contractually obliged to use the Bengals partners because it's owned by the Bengals. So if you're Skyline and their Gold Star, doesn't work. If you're, Donato's and their Papa John's, doesn't work. They get all of the parking. They get all the concessions. Like you have to pay them to use that facility. This is something that Mike Thomas tried, and they lost a bunch of money playing games at like one-off games or like big games at Paul Brown Stadium, thinking they have more seats, so that means more money. And it's unfortunately not how it works. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, and the mention if we had Dion as our coach, I just dive into a little bit of Dion's approach to high school recruiting, and you'll see kind of how that's a little bit off.
5 recruits.
Yeah, 5 commitments right now. Yeah, they're 80 something in the country. Their class ranking, and he does not give one ounce of care to high school recruiting, which would not probably fit very well with this fan base, but and me for sure. But let's timestamp this, and we got some round ball to talk about, a little basketball.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
That is your timestamp, brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company. For all your non-food products, they service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. Quick Paper Supply. Gotta love you. So now, basketball. Chad, you've been able to attend some practices, and the fans.
Look, they changed the rules. Right. I wasn't lying to people. The only reason I hadn't been going to workouts is because I was told I was not allowed to go to workouts. Now workouts are open. I've had a chance to be there regularly. First, let me say, and we've touched on this a little bit, I really like the way that they're doing it, with each week kind of being a different area. Like 1 week it was defense, and then the next week it was like transition, and this week it's getting into a little bit more of like secondary break, and like, okay, you run your break, you run your secondary break, things break down, let's get into offense. So they're layering. It's not just been a matter of skill development and shooting drills, and that stuff still happens, but there's been a purpose to every week. And they did it a little different this year. They went all the way up to the 3rd of July. And then back at it today, they gave them, that obviously that window off, but they got their work in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This week, again, they're going through Wednesday, and then they're going to give them kind of that halfway point break. And then I'm guessing when they come back, it's going to be pretty heavy, like team, let's start putting it all together. Let's start taking, it's teaching, right? Okay. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay. Now we take all those chapters and put them together, and what did we learn? So I really like the plan Wes has had as they've approached this offseason. It's been a little different than stuff I've seen in the past.
Okay. Well, I guess that leads us. Well, first off, we got to give a quick shout, because I mean, obviously there hasn't been too much coverage, too much, exposure video wise to, or what the fans can actually attend and see, rather than what has been going on in the Smith League, which is, take Smith League for an ounce of what it is.
It's open.
It's open. But when you do have a player go off for 47 and turn it up in the fourth quarter, the way that Jizzle James did over this past weekend, you do turn a little bit of an eye to it.
He's been outstanding.
Yeah, he looks like someone who has literally taking it upon himself to take that next massive step. And I mean, his explosion was just uncanny. It looks like his shot's getting better. Rayvon Griffith continues to just be, take open gym and dominate it. 35 out of him over the weekend and 21 points, 9 rebounds out of Tyler McKinley. So it seems like good showings out of the Bearcats.
You can't take anything from it.
I agree.
Because the opposition is,
I'll take it.
well, yeah, but like my point being, in general, the opposition is bad.
Right.
Like
right.
you have to be really good at basketball to put the ball through the hoop enough to score 47 points.
Right.
But this is not like Cincinnati playing Cincinnati.
No.
Or like one team's got 4 guys from UC, one team's got 3 guys from X, one team's got 3 or 4 guys from NKU. Like that's not how the level of competition is. So let's be honest. There's nobody in that league that can stop Jizzle James.
No.
Nobody.
Definitely not in the open court. You can tell that.
Period. Half court, open court. Like everything's in the open court though, Brent. Like that they're just running up and down and then running some very generic form of like flow offense.
Yeah.
To operate if they get stuck in the half court.
Yeah.
So, I it's awesome. Like it's great for fans. Yeah. I've been doing the summer league deal for 2 decades. A lot of people much longer with like the original Devereaux League. There's a long list of guys that were awesome in the summer league and then played like 3 minutes a game.
Yeah.
There's a long list of guys that didn't do much in the summer league and then were key contributors to teams that won a lot. So keep it in perspective. But anytime you can go get to watch one of your favorite players score 47 points, I'm sure that's a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. And Ray, for the way the spin looks off his shot still, but from the highlights, and obviously they're highlights,
he's getting better.
Like he's getting a lot better and hitting shots at a higher clip as well. So
yeah, he had a couple threes in practice today. So
great segue.
I mean, he's still got work to do. Like he's not all the way there yet. I think he needs like some fine tuning, catching and ripping and just playing strong and aggressive against the type of defense you're going to see in the Big 12. Some of that stuff is still going to be areas that he needs to continue to get better on. But in the Smith League, man, they can't do anything with him. Like he's too big, too strong. He's a great athlete. Like there's not much they can do to slow down Rayvon Griffith in that league.
So break down today's practice. Was it more of a getting everyone back from the long weekend and ramping back
some
up?
Of it, yeah. They did some 4-on-4. I love 4-on-4. Like I'm a big fan of 4-on-4 because the floor is a little bit more spaced.
Yeah.
Like guys are asked to do a little bit more defensively in terms of coverage. They're working on a lot more. I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I will say this. I'm not like in the past, especially last year, they played ice coverage almost exclusively, and that was almost exclusively what they worked on when they were working on defense. It was in ice coverage, which means for the people that aren't like, basketball heads, and I know there's a lot of people that don't get in the weeds on like what the terminology is. Ice coverage is basically like the guy defending the ball goes over the screen and tries to like beat the screen. The screen is there, it's set up, and the guy tries to beat it. He doesn't go under it. He goes over it and tries to stay in front of his man. It was their primary coverage last year. Mm-hmm. They're doing a little bit more hedging. They're doing a little bit more, activity in space in terms of when they're getting set against basic ball screen coverage. Some of that could be just install with a bunch of new guys and trying to get everybody ready for every situation. But I'm not seeing as much of like, we are only going to play ice coverage unless somebody forces us out of it, which I think in terms of like ball screen is so prevalent in today's college basketball world. I want to see teams have multiple answers. Like, I don't think you can just survive unless you have elite situational defense. Like, I think you need to be able to defend the ball screen 3, 4, 5 different ways. And it looks like they're kind of working more towards that this year, which I like. Keep going.
With the transfers and the new guys, who looks we're like a month into this now, right? As far as workouts go.
Yeah.
So
Almost exactly a month, basically.
Yeah. So who of the transfers and who of the new guys looks like they're adapting to the situation the best?
Well, fortunately, like Dylan Mitchell, over the past week plus, it's been transition heavy in what they're working on, and he is a monster in transition. Like, them running the break looks so much different when Dylan Mitchell is involved than it does when Dylan Mitchell is not involved.
Does that go both ways?
Defensively, yeah. I mean, well, Mitchell and Page today blocked probably 15 shots combined in practice. Page was a monster today blocking shots in practice. He still has a long way to go, but there are strengths that you can play to with him. And again, I talked about wanting to see, like, I think there's going to be a situation where you will see those guys on the floor together. And I think it might be the most disruptive they can be on defense if they can get Page like fully up to speed.
Which is bananas considering Aziz
was on the team.
Which and he's defense is his specialty.
Right. A lot of Aziz though is like
clogging
help side, half court type stuff.
Yeah.
Where with like Page and Mitchell, if they can force you up and down, and you're trying to beat your guy, then you get to the rim, one of them is going to be there waiting for you and is probably going to block your shot. And that happened a bunch today.
That's incredible.
A bunch today.
I'm all in on it.
So those would be your two answers as far as adjusting Page and
yeah. Well, I mean the style that they've used for like what they've been working on the past couple weeks, like leads credence to both of them having good days, right? Like, yeah. I think if you would have been working on like half court defense, we'd probably be talking about somebody else or like, focusing on different things. The other one I would say, Tyler Betsy, it's starting to slow down a little bit. But you could tell early, like defensive rotations and like being able to like call out what's happening and recognizing the stuff in front of you is picking up for him. There were a couple defensive drills today where I was like, okay, he's not making the mistakes or like having like a mental lapse. When it comes to like, okay, well, he didn't call out this switch or he didn't call out like, I've got, you're running secondary break. I've got this guy. He's getting a little bit more comfortable with a lot of that stuff. And then I've seen him make a couple really good, like smart plays that freshmen have a tough time making. There was one today. They're coming down in transition and the ball comes to him and the defense is just starting to get set. And he had what would have been an open look. Like if he would have taken the shot, I don't think anybody would have had a complaint that he took the shot.
Right.
But he caught it. The defense has to react to a really good shooter. So two guys start charging. He makes the extra pass. I can't remember if it was Seamus or Hickman on the wing, but he makes the extra pass and bang, an easy three, because he is starting to like slow down in terms of like what the options are. So yeah, I'm a big fan of how Tyler Betsy is starting to progress.
And I mean, seeing him, because Mike Breitfeld posted those the updates, and certain players have put on the muscle that needed. Seeing him at 225 already is something that I kind of was like, wow, that's
He's
pretty
stronger
damn
than you
good.
think. He
Right.
still looks
What,
pretty thin, but he's stronger than
12
you
pounds already for him, I think.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
12 pounds.
yeah. So something that I love to watch during the Campfire Ground days to kind of mesh football with basketball here was when it was kind of matchups. We saw the Majay versus James Hudson. We saw Alec Pierce versus Sauce Gardner. Just kind of those one-on-ones. And one of the just quick clips that the social media puts out for basketball, you saw Day Day and Jizzle kind of going
all
at it a
day,
little
every
bit.
day.
Is that kind of the most fun, just to see them making each other better each day?
Yeah, I mean, but that was last year. Like those
Right.
guys really pushed each other last year, so that really isn't anything new. I think though, what you're starting to see is Jizzle sense that like that alpha mentality is clicking with him, where he's not that he didn't believe this last year, but
Right.
I think they were closer
Mhm.
last year, and now I think you're starting to see Jizzle notch ahead a little bit, and he senses it.
I'm the captain now.
Right. Like the ball belongs in my hands, and I'm going to show everybody that it does.
And who better than one of the best on-ball defenders going up against you day in and day out in practice? That's
he beat him. He beat him bad a couple times today.
we'll call it rust. Yeah, we'll call it rust, right?
No, he beat him bad. Like he got the best of him.
There we go.
He turned the corner and got to the rim, put the biscuit in the basket.
There we go. Due to the day-to-day, outside of, because you've already touched on both AP and Dylan Mitchell. So outside of them, who kind of were you like, wow, dang, he's kind of bringing it today?
I mean, there wasn't a ton of like up and down stuff today. It's like I probably shouldn't go on Monday, because Monday is like setting up the week. Right, like Monday is a lot of the drills, a lot of the reading of the course material,
right,
and then the application comes a little bit later in the week. So there wasn't a lot of up and down, just straight. Like I think they only did really one segment of like 5-on-5 today, where there have been, as you get later in the week, sometimes they'll do 2, 3, 4 5-on-5 segments, which those are the days I really love. I'm starting to wonder if I need to mix it up a little bit more. I haven't done open gym much this year, where you actually get to see them going up and down. I've done more workouts because I've been allowed in for the first time in like 4 years. But,
well, you got to be there on the TBT day.
I'll be there for
when I mean that. Seeing the Nasty Natty, I hope the Nasty Natty just keeps their whole team and goes up against the entire current
There's
squad.
too many.
Yeah.
Well, they end up running like there ends up being on that day. There usually ends up being like 5 different teams.
Yeah,
4 or 5 games going on at the same time.
Yeah. Well, 2 games going on at the same time, but like 4 different teams, and then there's usually a team sitting out that then cycles in. So, and then the winners play the winners, and the losers. It's like a cycle of the way things work. But no, it's been good. It's been, like I said, I enjoy the way Wes is kind of structuring. I'm interested to see what the last couple weeks look like after they get like a week off, and then come back to do like the final 3 weeks. I'm excited for that.
We saw another article that Keegan put up, just kind of highlighting now that the complete staff is put together, but highlighting Tim Buckley and whatnot. Are you seeing a little bit more hands-on by the whole coaching staff now that all the new faces are involved, or is it kind of just little too early for that?
I mean, you're not gonna ask Stowe to do a whole lot,
right?
Like, he's not speaking out over Buckley, Adams, Morgan, and Dollar.
Right.
Like there is a hierarchy of things, but he's a guy, like a work, a development guy that is working with guys. You're starting to see Buckley find his voice a little bit. I mean, he's working with guys. When they do shooting drills, he's with somebody kind of talking about, Day the other day, he was working on like release and follow through and not like coming off a little bit to the side where you can kind of push the ball one direction or the other. You're starting to see him get a little bit more comfortable with, and a lot of that is relationships, right? Like you got to work with the guy a couple times and then he gets comfortable because he sees results. And then he's like, oh, this is my guy. Like this guy's going to get me right. So you're seeing a little bit more of that, but like ultimately still the top 4 spots are the top 4 spots.
Yeah.
Like that part hasn't changed a whole lot. So while there has been turnover and on the outside looking in, it feels like a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
It's ultimately like the core is still the core.
Yeah. I agree. Another thing, in the article with Buckley, Buckley mentioned that the depth of this team is the thing that jumps out to him the most. Yeah. I'm in awe each time that we do these breakdowns, and we don't really mention Dan much. We kind of know what we're getting out of Dan, but he's taking that lead.
He looks good. Like, yeah, there hasn't been anything that's jumped like overly positive or negative. Dan has been playing at a pretty high level.
Is the depth piece something that really just kind of astonishes you, because obviously you've been around basketball for a very long time? So
I would say, how do I say this without getting myself in trouble with people? Usually when you look and there's like the main core group on the floor doing a 4-on-4, doing a 5-on-5,
right?
They're, like right now they have 15 guys.
Yeah.
The 13 scholarship guys, CJ Anthony and JJ Rembert, the 2 walk-ons. You'll look over and like every time there's somebody that you think is probably going to play that's sitting out, like a CMOS got subbed out, or a Page got subbed out, or a Tyler Betsy got subbed out. Like each team's got one guy standing over there that's not playing that you think is going to be a pretty important piece of this team, and that's very rarely been the case. Because there's usually 7 or 8 guys. Like these are the 7 or 8 guys that can play. We're going to try to develop guys 9 and 10 for as long as we can. But ultimately we know, these are the 8 guys when it's crunch time. This is who we're leaning on. When they do that, there are people that are standing on the sidelines that you're like, well, I think he's going to play a lot. So like that's the part of the depth that I think changes with this group that we haven't seen in a while, because a lot of times like those guys are at a younger development point, and with Ray and with Tyler McKinley and Tyler Betsy, there's still some of that.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a higher level of younger guys.
Yeah.
You're talking a top 40 guy in Betsy, a top 75 guy in Ray, a top 75 guy in Tyler McKinley. Like they're not only are their ceilings higher, but their floor is a lot higher. This is just the first name that popped in my head. This is not to disparage the name that I'm about to say. But like when Jermaine Sanders and Shaq Thomas and Justin Jennifer, as freshmen, Justin Jackson, Trey Scott, like those guys early in their career had a lot of development to get to where they got as juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
These guys are a level above where those guys were when they came in. So that makes that depth piece
look even.
It gives it a higher potential level, because you're not waiting for them to develop. You're not saying we're going to lean on Sean Kilpatrick and Justin Jackson and Titus Rubles in, what was that, 13?
Yeah, his
14,
year,
whichever one. Yeah. Like we don't have to lean on them to do all of the heavy lifting while we wait on these other guys to get better. You're saying these guys still need to get better, but there's an opportunity that any one of them could help us on any given night.
Wow. I always am thrilled to have this segment with you. It's a glimpse through your eyes, not the 47 and
Antonio
35
Wingfield started
format.
this team? Yes. Pluto, are you? Antonio Wingfield would start on pretty much every Cincinnati team that has ever taken the basketball floor from the day he walked onto campus.
Yeah. Beast. Gosh, if he would have stayed just one more year. I mean, his numbers were unreal.
That
for
was
the
a
1 year.
really good team. Like his freshman year,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talent on that team, and he walked on the floor, and everybody went, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
what is that?"
Just would have
You
stayed
familiar
one
with
more
that
year.
guy, Ryan? D'Antonio Wingfield?
I am not.
You might not have been born when he played here.
Just a stud. Aaron is off camera, so Aaron, there you are. And anything more on this before we wrap?
Let's riff.
Okay. Ryan, anything on this? Or are you saving those pipes for ripping with Royer?
I'm saving. Pause.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009. They're one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
I love that a part of Ryan's never going to graduate.
I love it. Time for my favorite segment, though, Chad. Take it away.
Hey, you know what? You know what New Riff is, Brent?
What is it?
It's fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative. Those are all words I like to use to describe myself. They produce award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin in their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the third floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusives. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Boom, baby.
All right, gentlemen.
Take your shot.
Who is your number one person you'd like to interview at Big 12 Media Day? Could be anyone, Bearcat or non-Bearcat.
Say it, Chad. Just say it.
Could be the commissioner. Could
be never mind. I can't bring myself to do it.
Brett knows
exactly where I'm going.
You were so close to saying it. I'm not going to say it.
I'd want to talk to if UCF has a linebacker present, I'd want to talk to them.
Possibly a safety.
I want elaboration.
Just look up who they invited. That's a good question. I mean, the easy answer.
Pluto in the chat said Gundy. I'm a man. I'm 40.
I feel like Gundy might have some fire for the those who have left to go to the SEC.
If I interviewed Gundy, I'd ask him for hair tips.
Yeah, just how do you do it, man?
Brother's got some flow.
Keep it so flow. Fill me in. What product we using? I mean, classically, I grew up a Deion Sanders fan. I always thought he was so fun to watch. I was just
really hoping you'd say Prime.
Just a couple questions. Yeah, I wouldn't even ask him about Colorado, if I'm being honest. I think I'd talk about the days. You know, tell me how you were able to play baseball and football in the same. What was it, day or was it weekend? It was
same day. Took a helicopter.
Day, yeah.
In between a NFL regular season game and Major League Baseball playoff game.
Right. He'd probably be like, "Are you going to ask anything about Colorado, do you believe? And I'll be like, no, Prime, we got to focus on the cool times. Back when you were a Cincinnati Redleg, fill me in. What's going on here? So my answer is Prime, just because of my child boy fandom.
I'd pay money to watch you interview Prime, because
Me
depending
too.
on what kind of mood he was in,
Right.
would depend on how that interview would go.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like he would run circles around you, and you'd get
Oh, yeah.
flustered.
No, actually,
And
I
I
think
think it would be a
Brent,
train wreck.
Brent would have one card to play to make that a great interview.
Right.
Dana Beers.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I'll get
'Cause
Dana
Prime
Beers
loves-
on the line.
Prime
Yeah.
loves Dana Beers.
I'll call. Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I'll call Dana. I'm FaceTime right there live, and I'll say, Coach Prime, just have someone that wants to say hi, and then show Dana. Then before you know it, it's going to be one of the greatest interviews ever recorded. So yeah, good idea.
Dana
Chad.
produced that entire season documentary the Barstool did.
Yeah,
Like
He did.
Dana was boots on the ground, like the producer on location. So Prime loves Dana Beers. That would be your end, Brent.
it would be. It would be. I completely agree. And
You know what
if
you do? You go when you say you don't even have to do anything. When you say hello, just say, "Hey, Coach, Dana Beers told me to say what's up."
right. And you'd be like, oh, Dana, and then
Yeah.
after that, the rest is history.
Then you're good. Then you're gonna
I'm
get
there
whatever you want out of them.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Aaron, who you got?
Mine's a little obscure, I guess. Only because I think the conversation would be fantastic, and I have no idea where it would go. But I feel like I work with somebody who they could be brothers. So I'm curious as to how that conversation would end and all of that. But Jason Shear of Arizona's 24/7, I think I would interview him.
Wow.
Because I feel like I work with his brother.
Okay. Yeah. You do.
Dave? Who, Dave?
Yeah, Dave, that's the one. Sure.
Jason starts way more shit than me.
Fair.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
He's just starting it with people that matter. That's the difference.
Right. You're right. He picks he swings up, I swing down.
Right. It's the same amount. It's just he's taking on people worth taking on.
Chad, are
That
you
seems like
sticking
a
with
lot
your
of work.
answer?
That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'll go to Sean Pace.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Ryan, who are you picking, man?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the Prime. He's just captivating the space right now. Only if he's actually gonna give me the time of day. If he's gonna actually, and there's no guarantee in that, and there's probably a 0% chance that would ever happen. So it's
Dana
You're an
Beers.
athlete, so you were an
Dana
athlete,
Beers,
so you
Royer.
at least have that going for you.
Dana's a good dude. I don't know if Prime's gonna give an absolute crap about me though, even if Dana vouches for me.
No, he would. I'm telling you. Like, that was the wildest thing about that whole thing. Is Prime is legitimately like a Dana Beers guy. Like,
yeah, but
it's
I don't.
wild.
I've only talked to Dana like 3 times. I would never ask him. Be like, hey man, let me hook me up.
No, you don't ask. Like, you just like I said, like, hey, Dana told me to say what's up, and then you're in.
I'm
guess.
going FaceTime.
Speaking
with
of Dana, we got to get him back on here in a little bit.
Yeah, let's
We
get the
haven't-
boy
we
back
haven't
on.
heard from him.
Little preseason football.
You got to make sure he stays on the horse through all this difficult fandom he's been experiencing.
Let's be honest. It is impressive that he's still on the horse. Like he
was big in basketball.
He was locked in on
Yeah.
basketball, and even football. He still was cheering him on every game. Gosh, he was there for the Miami game, wasn't he? That was not good.
I think we all wish we
million-
weren't there for that one.
The millionaire game.
Gosh, man, did we almost had it too? Nah.
No, you lost horribly.
You sound like Paul Walker in the first Fast and Furious. Dude, I almost had you.
I mean,
What's that They had us in the first half. Not
Then he
gonna
ended
lie.
up like Paul Walker.
They had us in the first
At the end
half.
of the
They
game.
had us on the first play from scrimmage. They had us. They had us. But yeah, good question, Roy.
All right, you ready for the second question?
Born ready. Lance Stevenson.
Any Bearcat of all time, who do you think would put on the best fireworks show?
Derek Wolf. Like didn't even have to think 1 second about that one. Derek Wolf.
It would have to be somebody who lived in that house, right? I feel like all of them that lived in that house.
Jason would probably put on a pretty good fireworks show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And do you trust your safety being there? Would you attend risking your life?
How far back can I get?
You have to light him off with him.
Oh no. Well, if it's Wolf or Kelsey, you could just if it's Wolf or Jason, you could just stand behind both of them.
No. You have to do it, but they're not really giving you many instructions. They're just kind of going, all right, I light that one, light that, all right. And they're kind of just focused. So you don't even know what you're doing. You're just kind of
it's been a full day of just enjoying tasty bubbles. Yeah.
At that point in the night,
enjoying elk and venison with Derek.
Yeah.
I don't expect there to be more than grunts coming out of them at that time of night.
Joe Rogan's in his Cybertruck, just watching the whole thing, telling you to be careful.
Careful.
I would go Wolf. I would go Wolf.
I didn't even think of that one. That was. I think that is the correct one.
Someone who's just like kind of nuts, and then like we kind of just like put on a show with it too. So I mean, Wolf or Jason Kelsey is probably the answer there.
Can you imagine a fireworks show put on by Wolf and Jason Kelsey?
Right. I was going to say
Taylor Swift and
Travis could probably put together a nice fireworks show. Just
no, he wouldn't. He would have Taylor's pyro team put it together.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Work smarter, not harder, Aaron.
Yeah, they say, Brent, go light that one wick that's like,
doesn't even
30 feet away, and then it lights it, and before you know it, you're sitting back enjoying a 30-minute show by one little.
You think that's part of the prenup that he gets like firework kind of privileges, or do you think that's going to be outside of the financial agreement?
Maybe
that's outside the financial agreement. Yeah.
Roy, let's do your answer, but out of someone during your playing tenure.
Ooh, during my playing time,
Bolden.
Bolden, if he could just launch them at himself. I don't know. I gotta think for a second.
Is Bolden the king of Roman candles?
You know, put on a great fireworks show. It'd be like Woody, Dylan O'Quinn, Ty Van Fossen.
O'Quinn would be it. Yeah, O'Quinn would be a good one.
Those guys, Nate Lawler. Those guys would put on a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in the Jefferson backyard.
I'd go to O'Quinn's fireworks show for sure.
Yeah.
America, hell yeah.
It'd be 3 hours away from the nearest Walmart.
Bring your sleeping bags, brothers.
So does that mean we're going to Athens?
No, there's a Walmart in Athens. We're good here. But
yeah, we're by the Arby's.
I picture those not being fireworks. Those are shotguns, not fireworks, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They're shooting at us. Shit.
Shoot the fireworks. That's how you light them off. You shoot them. And if you can hit it before it blows up, you get a beer.
Okay.
That sounds dangerous as shit.
The fan game has evolved.
Right.
Firework game.
What do you guys do for fun now?
Did you see that thing at BYU?
Yep. That's some good content by me. But the thing is, like, I see that every day on my feed. That's not new to me.
Yeah. They had a concert at BYU Stadium that they didn't have, the end zones were empty, and they were lighting fireworks off from the end zones, and a couple of them just right into the crowd.
people on the field
Like
catching
5
strays.
people got hit with fireworks.
But they couldn't stop them because they already lit it.
The people on the
No,
field that
like-
were in sequence didn't break sequence. They just
Right.
slightly moved and went back into sequence. That was the wildest part of all of it.
The brain rot of civilization.
No, Brent, the fireworks had been lit. They were firing off, and instead of going up, they were going out and
down.
landing either on the field or in the stands where people were.
I'm looking it up. I got to see this live reaction.
All right.
It's pretty epic.
What else
Oh,
you got?
geez.
You got anything else, Brian? While he does that,
No, those are my 2, man. I'm really waiting for
All
some
good.
stuff to start happening so we can get some more technical based questions, but we got to keep sticking with the
Gotta have it's summer. But summer is winding
Jeez.
down. I was talking to a friend about how life works in this world. And it was 4th of July, all of a sudden summer for us is all right, that's in the rear view. Now it is football season is right ahead of us.
I wish I
Wow.
had connections to the damn iPads again. I could watch some Iowa State defense, start learning some stuff. But I mean, I don't have the Joel DeBlanco iPad connections anymore, even though he was 3 years out of the team. But or
There's people you
Dingle.
could call. There's people you could call.
I know. I might gotta get some tape.
That is insane.
You'll probably do that right after you line up your first guest.
Yes.
And the Jonas Brothers were there. Oh my goodness.
You're still watching that?
That's horrible.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Man, I'm back.
That's horrifying. Did anyone get seriously hurt?
The one
there were
that
a
went
couple people,
on
I
the
think, that went
field
to the
was
hospital.
nuts.
that's what I said. They just moved slightly out of the way and then went back into formation. It was crazy.
Several injured, one seriously after fireworks landed in BYU crowd during 4th of July celebration featuring
What is
the Jonas
serious?
Brothers.
What is the update on them?
I don't have that extensive of research, but Fox News
Not
called it
great.
holiday horror.
Not great.
Sheesh. All right. Yeah. To quote my good friend, moving on. Quick timestamp fired up.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. A wide range of food service products, to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. Cleaning and restroom supplies. Also, for all your janitorial needs, call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. We're about to mailbag it up just real quick, Chad. I forgot to mention. I was going to ask. It seems like
If you're interested in your company sponsoring the mailbag,
There we go.
hit us up.
There we go. Of course, Graham Ashcraft and the Reds won the 4th of July standoff. That was pretty cool. But it seems like there's been a bunch of offers that have gone out on the basketball side of things, recruiting wise. Is that kind of just par for the course at this time of the year?
I think it's the changing landscape of college basketball where this stuff is all happening so much later.
Yeah.
Remember, this is the first year that April was not an open evaluation period. So coaches were not on the road in April. And then they only have one weekend in May.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got to go out a little bit in June to watch high school stuff.
Yeah.
They don't play any AAU ball in June. So they got to go out and watch a little high school stuff in June. And then this weekend will start the summer evaluation period. So I think the calendar that we're used to was 2 months behind what we normally would see. Normally in April, there would be a ton of offers that went out in April. And then that determined what you were going to do in June and July when you were able to go watch. And then that led into visits and September and October. I think the calendar with the transfer portal is just evolving.
Right.
And this is one of those like side effects of that, is that teams are moving later on that upcoming class just because they didn't get to go out and watch anybody in April. Okay. So if you're not on the road watching them, it's hard to make evaluations and decide that like these are the guys we want to go after. So I do think it's something to watch going forward, how this continues to evolve. I've talked about this in a lot of different areas, high school football recruiting being one of them, where there used to not be a whole lot of movement in the summer, and then they moved official visits to June, and now all of a sudden by like the second week in July, your recruiting class is
20
mostly
people
set.
already. Right.
Like it's 70-80% done at that point. And then we talked about like when it first happened, everybody committed after that first week, like that first official visit, there was a rush of commitments. And then now all of a sudden it's playing out a little bit longer into, I'm going to take all 3 or 4 visits, and there's kind of no rhyme or reason on which one is the like. I guess you'd still rather be first, so you can try to get them to not take any other visits, or last, so that you can make the last impression. But you know, football, basketball recruiting, high school recruiting especially, is just in an entirely different animal now that the transfer portal is so prominent. So these calendars are going to continue to shift and evolve, and when offers go out and when commitments happen are all going to be a continuing work in progress, because we're still figuring out like what the new shift in all this stuff looks like.
I mean some high level offers going out, and you know, players in 2027, 2026 class. There was but
that's normal. Cornelius Ingram's fascinating.
That's what I was gonna say. Cornelius Ingram, the Florida Rebels. That sounds familiar to all Bearcat fans.
So he was in Indianapolis when I went to EYBL. He was really good, and obviously, like Florida Rebels, because of the connection, is one of those teams that we're going to be watching. It's like Indiana Elite kind of right now. Like those are the 2 programs that have the deepest connection to Cincinnati. I thought Ingram was fantastic, but everybody at the time, like, he's a pretty highly rated quarterback prospect.
Right.
And everybody in the basketball world felt he was going to play football. So when you asked about him, because you're watching him play and really, really play well, and it's like, why isn't there a whole lot of like basketball buzz around this kid? And it's like, oh, he's a football kid. And I guess they've made the decision. I think it's still, people are still figuring out what exactly this means, but it sounds like they're going to go the basketball route. So you're going to see his recruitment heat up. Like that's a kid that come the start of the open period this coming weekend, he's going to be circled, because now everybody's looking at him as a basketball kid. But he's 6'4", 6'5", long, athletic, really, really smart, good feel for the game. Like I was really impressed by him back in May. So we'll see. Cincinnati jumped in quick, and then you started, once they had that first one, then a couple others have started to dip their toe in the water as well, trying to get out in front of what I think a lot of people feel is kind of inevitable in July. Like that's going to be one of those that you're going to see 3, 4, 5 posts a day on his Twitter feed, I think, of teams that have decided to offer. But hey, maybe the smart thing to do is recruit him for both, or at least have your football department working with you on that to try to get a commitment. He's really good. Really good.
He won back-to-back state titles as a quarterback. Over 40 combined touchdowns, rushing and throwing. So
And his dad is his high school football coach.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of still surprised that he's going the basketball route.
Yeah. Well, hey, we'll see how.
If only there was somebody that played for the Florida Rebels.
Oh.
That had a heavy football influence in their life that decided basketball was the path for them.
I think that guy scored 47 points in some somewhat meaningless open gym over the weekend. But either way, let's mailbag it, Aaron. It's time.
All right, starting on the football portion of the mailbag. If you could make any tweaks or changes to the uniforms, what would you do? Secondary question, how do you feel about Nike putting out a lot of the same patterns and really simplifying designs? Ryan, you're the only one of us who's worn uniforms before. What you got for us?
I kind of like the simple look of the Nike uniforms because it kind of just reminds me of back of like the 2008, 2007, 2009 kind of style. And I like it. I think it pairs really well. But I'm not the best guy to ask. I'm not for all the flashy shit. So, I mean, I would say try to get something like incorporated into the sleeves. Because we kind of went with like the Lindner building triangles. I thought that's a nice subtle touch, but don't smash it all over the uniform. I think that looks terrible. Don't put it on the helmet. That looks terrible. But as long as you got all black,
I would disagree on one the red helmet they used with the triangles, like kind of very faintly.
I don't think I know that one.
It was like the helmet was flat. The triangles were vice versa.
Yeah,
that one was awesome. But otherwise, I agree. They went overboard with the triangles. They tried to force it.
Yeah.
I'll agree there.
I'm with you, Ryan. I do like the simplified look.
I do too.
Just don't mess up a good thing. You've got great colors as your main colors, and it looks awesome with the C-Paw. So, don't scuff up a bad thing.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, Brent.
Right, exactly. I thought the trim looked nice too. I thought they picked good color schemes there as well. I do want one throwback uniform a year. Give me just one specialized thing that goes to Cincinnati and is only particular to Cincinnati. Just give me one throwback a year. That's it.
I think it's a hard line to not cross when you're working with uniforms and trying to do something unique for a team, but also not get into like XFL or like the Euro NFL league where it just looks like something that somebody created on a video game as opposed to something being classic and not being over the top. But you still want something for the fans to get excited about, I guess. I saw what they were trying to do when they did the claw tear marks on the legs, and I didn't love that. I think that was a little over the top. But I think you still need to try and find something that is uniquely Cincinnati. So I'm kind of with Ryan as far as like, the Lindner Center triangles, as long as you're not taking it entirely over the top and trying to do too much with it.
Not everything needs the triangle.
Correct. I think you could do that if you're doing like on one uniform, like if you're doing it on the Reds and you're just putting it like a black and white stripe at the bottom of the sleeve on the Reds, or on one of the helmets if it's like a special helmet. But you don't need to pair that with the jersey that also has the triangles. So just try not to go overboard with the but that's the delicate.
Luckily, Aaron, the triangles are gone.
Well, that's the delicate dance with all of it, though, is you have to try and find something that isn't over the top, but is something that is uniquely to that city to set those uniforms apart from anybody else who wears red and black and white, because there's a plethora of teams out there that also wear red, black, and white. So you want something that is distinct and unique to you outside of just the C-Paw or the Cincinnati square on the chest. But it's hard to find that special spot.
I would say, Aaron, if you think about college football, all of the great, except for, I guess, Oregon, like everything is classic. Everything is.
Maryland is Oregon, but Under Armour.
Yeah, but nobody likes Maryland stuff. Like it looks ridiculous. At least the Oregon stuff it kind of mixes. Like it's
there's
classic,
some absurdity.
But
there's some absurdity.
Like the color is absurd, but the design is usually fairly like classic. It's just in highlighter neon green. You know what I mean? Like the Oregon and like
basketball court's out of control, but
they fixed it.
They didn't. They have geese now instead of ducks, which is hilarious. Dum-dums.
Fair.
You had one job.
But no, Chad, I agree. Like Michigan's helmet, and I kind of don't like how Michigan brought like the all blue look with the blue pants, though. I think they should have kept going with the blue top, yellow pants. But that's nitpicking. I would say overall, like you're saying, Alabama, Penn State, USC.
Like Ohio State fans hate when Ohio State messes with
like
stuff.
the black helmets and
yeah,
I agree. So yeah, simple, keep it rolling and go. Definitely.
All right.
I did want to mention though, Cornelius Ingram. Yeah, his dad did play in the NFL, 5th round pick, was a tight end at Florida Gators. So yeah, I want to.
He's his high school coach.
Yeah. So
I don't think you'll see anything huge change there until the contract is official. Not this season, but next season, right? With
Nike for the Nike
and Jordan, yeah. In any case, Bearcat baseball was picked dead last in the Big 12 media poll last year. Win totals were projected to be around 15. The coaches, media, and prognosticators could not have been more wrong, as we won 30-plus games and finished 5th in the conference. Do you buy into the storyline that there are 13 football teams better than the Bearcats in the Big 12 and win total will be around 4? How hot is Coach Sat's seat if we go 4-8 and finish 14th?
Oh man, I wouldn't say
hot. An extender on this thing again.
I gotta pull that up. Carson,
I mean, his seat's definitely warm, going and basically make or break year 3. I think on that front of the question, you're not going to fire. I don't think he gets fired after 2 years of bad,
especially as the first coach in a move up in
new
in
conference.
Yeah,
and also that the way they structured his contract too. But I think we kind of touched on it. Like, they don't deserve to be higher. Do I think they're going to be better than they were last year? Absolutely. But by saying absolutely, we're going from 3 to, I think, right around 7. So a 4-win total is a good jump in 1 year, but you're still looking at a 7-5 year. It's not like we're doing anything crazy. But even when you kind of break down who they're playing and who they should beat, it's like once you get to week 6, it's like we always talk, it's toss-ups. So we could be 4-2, or we could be 5-1. Like what I think we should. I think 4-2 absolute worst. If we're worse than that to start the year, you better pray to God for the back half of the year. But what would you say the worst team's going to go in conference? Playing 8 conference games, 1-7. 0-8 probably.
Yeah, I don't think that, it's for me more so it's like people don't really like so that poll that came out is a preseason media poll. None of them really know who Brendan Sorsby is. None of them really can cobble together what this is going to cobble together what the backfield defensively is going to look like. I mean, none of us can even do that right now. So it's going to be fascinating to see because all we've heard is that all the pieces are starting to fit together. The new scheme's starting to look strong on defense, and Sorsby has looked good. So for me, I don't think that there's that many teams better, and I don't foresee a 4-8 season. if that did happen, then there's gonna be a lot of looking in the mirror again for the second straight year. But I just don't see it. And obviously I'm higher than most on all things Bearcats, but it just does seem like there's a little bit of a different vibe surrounding what's going on there on the football team.
Yeah, I don't foresee Sat's seat being. I think warm is probably the right word, but I think you probably even still have next season before you're even worried about that seat getting hot.
Yeah, if he doesn't make a bowl in 3 years, then yeah, that seat's hot.
Yeah. But at the same time, you have to have money to bring in a new guy, and unless people start throwing money at the university with hopes of a new coach or NIL, I don't know where you expect that to get better. So, in any case, looking back at the recruiting classes, what would you consider a good class? Like what? So the amount of all conference starters per class would you expect?
Well, you have 22 starters, and you have around, let's just call it 4 years to be fair to the guys that leave early and to be fair to the guys that stay a fifth year. So call it 100 kids based on 4 classes of 25, and you can only start 22 kids a year. So, I mean, just based on that, you're supposed to get an average of 4, right around there.
Yeah,
for a class. If it's even, if every class promotes 4, but then you have fresh, like it's going to be back heavy to the older classes technically because they've been there longer. Trying to think about my class who started. Jarrell White, Derek Forrest, Kobe Bryant. There's 3. Michael Warren, 4. The
problem is everybody that started was an all-conference guy.
Right.
Like there was 100% hit rate in that group. Everybody that actually started was legit. That's not how it's usually going to be. And also, it's kind of a hard question because, like, you're in a 16-team Power 5 league now. Or like, this is not the American, Power 4, whatever. This is not the American where there's a bunch of dudes that were going to be all conference. There's going to, like we talked about with Corey Kiner. Like, he was a returning 1,000-yard rusher. And when you bring up backs in the Big 12, he's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere like, well, if somebody said he was the 10th best back returning in the league, I would be like, I can't really argue otherwise.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Coach Sat's classes have been the best classes that the school's ever seen. And that comes after Luke's classes being the best classes that the school has ever seen. So you're
right now it's trending in that direction. Yes.
You're continuing to move up, and you're still getting the best classes that the school's ever seen while also moving up in conference. So you're playing far harder foes than you've ever seen as well. So it's all relative, I guess. When you look at what would you consider a good class?
Yeah. The problem, the difference being, Aaron, in the American, the classes weren't as highly rated as what we're going to see in the Big 12. They were close, but they were also like the gap. Like somebody was talking about it on the message boards today, looking at the gap between like 4 and 15 in this league. And it's like a point. Like it's like 4 and 15 are all right there bunched up next to each other for 11 spots.
Yeah.
Where in the SEC, if you look at 4 and you look at Vanderbilt, that was mean. I'm sorry. Like the gap is like 3-4 points in terms of like average ranking. So the difference in this league is minimal.
Well, I guess that's where I like the second half of this question far better than the beginning half of this question. I think it's far less about the ratings, the star ratings, and where the class stacks up, and more about how many all conference guys do you have, how many starters do you have per class.
And also it's just a completely different landscape in college recruiting as well, where you are filling those holes with transfers out of the portal. So
or somebody that was in a recruiting class would have to start. You bring in a transfer, and that guy's gonna have to fight for his life to start now.
So like, are we including those in each recruiting class? Would they be considered part of the recruiting class? I guess if in this case, yeah, probably.
I think you have to. I think transfers are now part of every recruiting class.
Right.
Okay, so then my line would be, if you include the transfers, over under 6.5. Without the transfers, over under 5.5 would be
starters
/ like meaningful snaps, like big, like contributors, because
I agree.
I think
I think the all-conference thing is just impossible to like navigate right now.
I mean, Luke Kander is getting an all-conference nod, and he's considered a second-team preseason All-American. So, like, in order to be on those teams, as Aaron was about to say, with 16 teams in each conference, is like, unless they expand it to fifth-team All-Conference, and we're considering these certain players on the fifth-team All-Conference as part of it, then sure. But it's going to be, I mean, they might have to. It's getting a little bonkers at that point. But yeah, to be in that first team all conference, like what that 2021 team was, with all those players, filling those lists, it's impossible to correlate that to nowadays all Big Four conferences having over 14 to 16 teams. So completely different.
Predict the top 5 rated Bearcats in EA College Football 25 game. Who are they, and what is their overall rating?
Some of that is leaked, hasn't it, Aaron?
I have been running after an insane terrorist 2-year-old and helping take care of a baby that just hit a month old. So
you're trying to keep your insane terrorist 2-year-old from bashing in the skull of your
I'm trying to stay I'm trying to also stay afloat in any, like, just the big news stories. So I don't know anything about leaks right now.
Yes, there was a bit of a leak, but it's not really like it's weird. It's players at risk of entering the transfer portal, like was the list, and at the top was Dante Corleone or maybe this is players at risk to go to the NFL or something. I don't know, but it was Dante Corleone was a 91, Fletcher at 85. They've got Dingle at a 74, Ken Willis 78, Ormani Arnold 78, Evan Pryor 79, Makai Coleman.
I would guess
75.
Candra's upper 80s, if not lower, like 90, like somewhere in there. So Candra and Corleone are going to be the two obvious ones. Sure. I think Fletch is probably right up there. You would guess Kiner would be in the 80s somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe Xavier Henderson.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, the reason Henderson and Candro wouldn't be on that list is they're out of eligibility after this year.
Right. Yeah.
So if that would be at the end of a season, who is projected to go in the transfer portal after this season.
Yeah.
Candra and Henderson wouldn't be on there.
Right.
Gavin Gerhardt
and Kiner. Maybe? I could see 80 to 82, 83, because he has started so many games. I think I could see him in the 80s.
Especially at center. I can't
80s.
imagine there's that many centers ranked that have started as many games as he has.
Yeah. If he's not in the top 5, he might be right outside, Aaron. I think it's a good call. Carter Brown, who had a pretty good year last year. I could see from a place kicker standpoint. Although Fletch, like his numbers just didn't pop off last year because of the hernia.
Yeah.
So if he had a normal Mason Fletcher, like what we think is a normal season, I would guess he would be higher than 85.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Royer getting the Ohio State bump, maybe.
Maybe. I don't think he'll be in the 80s though. He didn't do much at all. Like he was hurt the whole time, mostly.
It'll be fascinating to see it come out in full. Are they offering like in-season rating adjustments, or is that something that you will just have to download? You know,
I think a lot of it though, like if you're in dynasty mode, is based on your play, right? Like
you can't adjust anything at any point as a user,
right?
As far as the attributes go.
Yeah. Fascinated to see how it works out.
It'll be something.
Yep.
All right. And then the last question in the football portion of the mailbag: is it time to hit the panic button on Ohio recruiting?
Re-listen to the previous talk.
Rewind about an hour. You'll get there.
All right. The basketball portion of the mailbag. I've seen a lot of offers go out to class of 25 recruits in the past month. It seems like UC is involved with more high school recruits this summer than they have been at this point in previous cycles. If the over-under for class of 25 recruits is 3.5, do you still feel pretty firm taking the under?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, unless something goes horribly wrong in this day and age, I don't see the point in taking more than 3 high school recruits in a class. Like this is going to be a big class. Yeah. But look, to stay afloat in this league, if you take 4 freshmen, they better be named like AJ DeBansa or whatever the hell his name is, Koa Pete. Like it better be the elite of the elite, because in this league, you're not going to survive with 4, 5, 6 high school kids on your team. Ask Mike Boynton how that worked out at Oklahoma State, even though those high school kids were really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
He got fired, if you're wondering.
3 is a stretch at this point.
Yeah. I'm not arguing with you, Aaron. I'm saying getting to 4, I
bananas.
Can't fathom that.
You're literally taking the torch to your own seat.
Yes. Please, I would like for this season to be one where people talk about firing me because I'm playing in the far superior basketball league in America with a shit ton of freshmen. Nah, fam. That ain't how it's done anymore.
All right. How many points per game do we need from Day/Jizzle/Hickman while they are playing the point guard spot, excluding any points scored while in the game at the 2? How many points per game do we need from Aziz and Page at 5, excluding any points Page scores at the 4?
I would say 20 at point guard. I think that's reasonable. 20, 22, somewhere in there. Like I think you would anticipate Jizzle probably being in that like 14 range.
Yeah.
With Day somewhere around 9 or 10.
Yeah.
15. And then Hickman, when he plays, I don't think he's going to get a ton of minutes a point, but a basket or 2, 3, 4, 5 points when he's playing point guard. I would say in the 20 to 22 point range for point guard.
And then for the 5, I say 12 to 16.
I was thinking like 14. The strength, I think, again, point guard changes from last year, but I still think the strength of this roster is 2, 3, 4. Depending on how the minutes like are evenly distributed. But I think when you're talking about 2, 3, 4, you're talking Hickman, Frederick, Dan,
Betsy,
Betsy, yeah, definitely. Mitchell. I don't think Mitchell's going to play much at the 5. If you had to ask me, like, where do the majority of the minutes at the 5 come from, I would go Aziz, Page,
Aziz.
and then McKinley being third on that list. CMOS, we haven't even mentioned CMOS, who I think is going to for sure be a double-digit scorer, even though Aaron hates him.
Don't hate him.
But I would think the bulk of the
You also
scoring
didn't
is going to
mention
be
Josh
2 through
Reed.
4. Josh Reed, yeah. I don't know offensively, like I don't know how much you can count on Josh, because I think he will be asked to be a defensive stopper at points, but when he's on the floor in that role, think of the offensive options that are going to be on the floor with him.
You'd have to
where
have
he's not
plenty
going to
of
be
offensive
asked to
options.
score much. Right. Like he's still not going to be in a position to be asked to score much, even though we all want to see that next step taken from him offensively. He's not going to be asked to do that. They're not putting Josh Reed in to go get them, 4 or 5 points in a segment. If it happens, it happens, but he's not going to be called upon to do that. So, I think that's fair, Aaron. I think 13 or 14 out of center I'd be pretty happy. If they got up to 16, this team's going to score a lot of points. If the centers are scoring 16 points, this team is going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, it was 12 combined last year. So
yeah.
You're kind of.
I guess I just wanted to see a step up from that 12, and more so than just a bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one's fun if we can get through the whole thing. How about a quick snake draft where Brent, Aaron, and Royer each draft teams of 5 from the current roster, and Chad provides comments and decides which squad wins?
Wow.
I think we should have. Can we do this next week where we decide the draft order and let you guys spend a little time thinking about it? I think this is a good one. I don't think it's going to be good if we do it
and
right on the spot right now.
Throw that back in the mailbag next week, AC Mazzaro and
Aaron. Just remember, put that in your brain.
Or actually, heck, we could do it as a segment. Spend a little bit more time on it.
I don't delete these until next week, so
Brett,
it'll still be.
Yeah, I got it.
This is your baby for next week.
All right,
Royer. I'm just pumped to see Royer's team.
You got homework, Royer.
Oh, I know. I'll be ready.
Hey,
I'm gonna get a draft board going.
Let's go.
Put it on the wall in the back with stickers.
We can play the music.
Exactly.
The whole
Right.
and then get demonetized. For playing the music.
Copyright. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I'll
NFL
just rip the F word.
The NFL comes for blood on that.
Yeah.
Good stuff though, AC Mazzaro. Do you feel this is the year we see UC that's? Do you feel this is the year we see UC that's their success to the next level in
takes.
becoming
I think
mature
I think
team?
you meant to type takes and probably got auto corrected. Yeah.
What are your top 3 things you'd like to see in order for them to make that jump?
Gentlemen.
Mature team. I think you become a mature team when you have numerous players who have played a large bulk of minutes in college basketball, and then are also happen to be your best players on your team. I think that's exactly what this team has, and they've got really good backups as well. So yeah, I do see it as a next level step, and I think everyone else who's talked about this team during this offseason sees that too. I'm going to
take what you said and actually build on that. I think that it's more than just a lot of minutes in college basketball, and I think it's a lot of minutes in college basketball together.
Yeah,
because this team has that in spades that not many teams have.
Yeah,
they've played so many minutes together already, and everybody else is putting together their teams through the transfer portal. But Cincinnati returns all of their best scorers, and they played last year together. And I think that's
think about all the games that they lost by a certain amount of points or won by a small margin. That's not only playing together, that's going through the most difficult things together, scenarios together. So
I would guess far more often than not, you're going to have at least 3 guys on the floor that were here last year almost at all times.
Right. Right.
Like CMOS, Dan Jizzle, Day, CJ Frederick counts in that because he was here last year. He was part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Aziz. Right. Like, so I would guess at most points you're going to have three guys on the floor that you're going to have three guys on the floor that were here last year playing significant minutes. And then mixing in a guy here and a guy there, which makes it a lot easier.
Gosh,
it's what Cunningham, remember when immediately after the season, we asked him, what do you think is going to be the defining difference for this basketball program to get over the next step? And he said, so many guys in year 2, so many guys having that year together to gel and then seeing what it looks like the following season.
Yep. Top 3 things, just shooting, take a jump as a whole. And that'll take a jump with obviously CJ staying healthy, Hickman adding into the fold, Betsy filling in minutes here and there, just the natural
CMOS being healthy.
CMOS being healthy the whole year. Just the
not
natural
getting hit by a car.
Right. And then just get a little development out of Jizzle, Dan, and Day. And you're seeing the whole group of a team start to shoot better. I think
Jizzle, Dan, and Day all shot 28%, like right in that 28% range from 3. If they're all above 32, somewhere between 32 and 35, that's not saying something crazy like they're going to shoot 40% or they're going to be like an elite shooter. If they are a serviceable shooting team from those guys, and then you have your high-level shooters, like there's a chance you've got 4 pretty high-level shooters, Hickman, Frederick, CMOS, Betsy, and then you mix in everybody else's floor raises. Like you could be you could be a team that puts a lot of points on the board offensively.
Yeah, you can uptick those same just a little bit uptick on both layups and free throws as well. My goodness.
Yeah. Turnovers, I want to see that cut down. That'll be something that comes with the continuity and things of that
Dan
sort.
First possession turnover every game.
Every game.
Yeah. I mean, because obviously rebounding was awesome last year and it's only going to get better.
The crazy thing is, Brent, turnovers overall, like the overall turnover numbers weren't terrible, but it was in those spurts or in those games they had where they were careless
ones. Yeah.
It was like
shitty lobs.
All Royer, you got one more top thing to see in order for them to make that jump. Royer, what is it?
I think putting teams away when they should, like when they're on a run and they're starting out against like a bad team or they catch a team on a bad day and they're hot out to start out of the gate, being able to put those games away, and also keeping the game close enough to keep against the better teams in the conference where you can really simulate that 50-50 kind of scenario where it's just a couple more plays that we can go and kind of that we didn't make last year and we weren't consistent enough to kind of stay in games and win them. I think keeping those 50-50 balls, those hustle scenarios, because you're staying close in the game and kind of who knows what's going to happen. I think that's a sign of a good, mature team.
Yeah.
Here's where I think that's a great point, Royer, is in this league, I think putting a team away, the terminology is different because there's just everybody's so talented.
At West Virginia, they should have put that team away, though.
Will you let me make my point, Brent?
Yes. Yes.
I think the right way to look at what you're saying, because I think it is a really good point. It's when you get up 11 midway through the first half, what you need to do is go into halftime up 8, right? Don't get up 11 and go into halftime with a 1-point game, because that getting up 11 was completely wasted. Teams in this league are going to make a run. The teams in this league are going to have really talented players that aren't going to be bad for 40 minutes more often than not. Where I think this team screwed themselves at times is when they did make those runs, they let the other team answer right back, and they negated the good 4 or 5 minute stretch or whatever they had to get up 8, 9, 10, 11.
Mhm.
And then you go into halftime in an even game. You don't have momentum anymore, right? And the other team is now thinking we took their punch. Like we took their best shot and we went into this game like even at halftime. If you go into halftime, like you get up 11, yeah, the other team makes a run, maybe cuts it to 6 or 7, but you go into halftime up 8, you kind of have your foot on their neck in this league. Where it's like, okay, if we come back out and we have a good opening segment, now it's a 12-point game.
Yep.
Like, so I think that in this league, like you have to adjust. In the American, you're right. You could take 11 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
And by the middle of the second half, you're playing, the guys at the back end of the bench. There's just not bad teams in this league. So if you go into halftime up 8, that is a significant margin in this league. So if they can cut some of that out, where you're right, they would get up big and they would not fail to put them away, but allow them all the way back in it. That West Virginia game, Brent, like from up big to down bad.
Horrible.
Like that.
Insane. Yeah. But I mean, even like Houston early second half, but that's Houston. But like so many games, like you're saying, where you do have that lead, don't just relinquish it and then just completely be out of it. Just
you've lost all momentum. Like you're
right.
scratching and clawing at that point in time. You've lost the upper hand.
Right. Exactly. I agree.
And it's a great point, Ryan. I just think in this league, like the worldview has to adjust a little because there are very few like teams that just get their ass kicked on any given night in this league. The talent's so fucking good. It's so good.
Next year is going to be insane too.
Yeah.
All right. Is UC allowed to take a foreign trip? I think they're allowed every 4 years. I feel like the last time was under Mick. Could be mistaken. Is that something Wes is interested in?
Yes, it is something they're interested in. I even kicked around on that a little bit today. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think there is such a focus right now on pushing every dollar to NIL as the landscape settles. I do think once we get to the revenue share portion next year, that the money will be a little bit more detailed and there won't be such a like every dollar has to go to NIL. I'm telling you, everybody right now believes every last penny that they can spend in NIL can get them that player that makes a difference, I guess is the right way to put it.
Are the guys on visas allowed to go on these foreign trips?
Depends on the visa.
Okay, because I would imagine if the more guys you have on visa on a team, the more complicated that can get.
Depends on the country, depends on the visa. Like that is all
relative,
But really, what CMOS and Aziz
currently, sure. I'm just saying, as you plan these things going forward, that'd be something to take into consideration as you look up and down the roster.
My point being, Aaron, there's some teams out there that have gone very heavy into the international market where they've got 5, 6, 7 guys that are international players on their team, where it almost wouldn't make sense to even try a foreign trip and having to navigate all of that stuff.
I guess I'm just thinking if 2 of your guys are starters, would you even want to do it if they can't go?
Yeah. So then you get a trip with your other guys getting forced into more significant roles. Yeah.
I don't know. Just things to consider again as you look up and down the roster.
Right now, it's mostly financial.
Okay.
Like to send 20 people on a 2-week foreign trip is not cheap. And right now, so much of the focus is on NIL that they're diverting as much of money there as they can. That if you look, like, let's go take $100,000 trip to Greece or whatever, just throwing something random out there, like, well, maybe that $100,000 could turn into a guy that gets us over the hump.
All right. And the last question in the mailbag, because we have nothing in the banks. Not counting the obvious for Xavier, Kansas, Arizona, and Baylor. The obvious four: Xavier, Kansas, Arizona, and Baylor. Which team are you most excited to see at Fifth Third Arena? Which team around the same level as Cincinnati that we play at home do we match up the best with?
The last part of that question is so hard anymore.
Everyone is considered
It's a completely new team. Like, it's a completely new team that you're dealing. Like, it's not like you can look back and go, man, I think they really match up well with that team, because that team doesn't look anything like it did last year. Like,
We're
that
the only
last
team
part is
that
really
looks
hard to answer.
closer.
Iowa State's pretty similar.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, there's not many. Most teams have.
Kansas has a decent core returning, but they added so many other strong players. So
Yeah.
um,
Kansas's bench isn't going to be complete ass.
right.
Is what you would expect this year.
Exactly. Man.
Trash, garbage, to go Pac-Man on them.
How about Baylor? Why not?
Baylor's in there, Brent.
Baylor
is excluded.
Not counting the
Not
obvious
counting
four.
Xavier,
Not counting.
Kansas, Arizona,
Okay.
Baylor.
Dang.
Do we have the graphic on what are our home games in conference? I'm trying to find it.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
Here, I'll give you the home games coming to Cincy this year in the Big 12. Arizona State. So I'll put out the four that we can't do. Arizona State, BYU, Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech, Utah, West Virginia.
I think my answer would probably be between Kansas State and Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I think we're going to find ourselves in that, like, upper half between like 25 and 50% of the league with those two teams quite a bit. So I think it's those two are a good jumping off point. I'll go with Kansas State. Utah's fascinating.
Maybe TCU, because Dixon said he's not used to losing at Fifth Third Arena, so maybe we can remind him about it again, right?
They're in trouble. I don't think they're going to be very good.
Yeah, they probably are. I'd go with you on Kansas State too. I think they've made some moves recently in the portal. Well, not recently, within the past couple of weeks in the portal that kind of amped them up a little bit extra. Just throwing money around like hotcakes. So I'd probably go with them as well. A sneaky other is the return of the Madsons. Bring them on, baby.
Right. Jason makes a great point on BYU. They have a coach from the NBA. They've got a couple really talented kids on that roster that they brought in. I'm really interested to see year one of what that looks like. But I think going forward, year 2, year 3, like, I think they could be a long-term pick, Jason.
Yeah. I want to get this guy's name right, but I definitely want to see they brought in that point guard, that foreign point guard. Igor Demon. Yeah. I'm excited to see what he does. 6'8" projected lottery pick. Why not? Bring him on in. But yeah.
6'8" point guard.
Yeah.
Projected lottery pick.
Just plucking him out of Russia, I think. Last second. Bring him in.
Yep.
Anything else, Aaron? Who are you picking?
Kansas State, I think, is super intriguing. I'll definitely give you that.
Maybe I'll switch to Texas Tech. You guys can have Kansas State. I think both of them are like neck and neck for me.
Well, I mean, Texas Tech doesn't have the bad guy from last year anymore, so they're not so high on my most hated list.
I like their coach and the way they play. I think McCaskillin plays a fun style of basketball. And I liked outside. I mean, you had a bigger problem with Pop Isaacs than I did. But Ultimately,
America should have had a problem with Pop Isaacs.
I liked watching their style of play. And I think they went out and they got better in the transfer portal. So they're going to be right there. I saw that Evan Maya or whatever, my whatever.
Yeah.
He put out his Big 12 projections.
Mm-hmm.
Usually was 8th.
It's just what it's going to be until
they were 28 in the country and they were 8th in the fucking Big 12.
I think that's just what it's going to be until you start winning those big games, and that's just you have to earn your respect.
His is a metric, so it's a formula. It's not like a poll. It's not an opinion. But what I'm saying
based on some opinion, though. That metric is still based on where
what I'm
he
saying is
puts value in things.
It's not as simple as here are these these 5 top 12 teams, and then Cincinnati's going to be right there in that next group behind them. Like there's 4 or 5 teams that are in that next group right behind them. That
winning cures everything.
Sure.
Just win, baby.
I mean, I don't know how Houston is Houston next year with what they lost, but they're the number 1 projected team in the country. Why?
Until you're not.
Because they're always there. They always finish metrics. They always finish top 5. So it's easy to say, I project Houston to be like my number, my formula, whatever, projects Houston to be elite because they always are.
Well, but they do return a decent amount. They lost Shed, but yeah,
they lost Shed. That's it.
Yeah, it's a big loss. There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Just a guy that probably should have been the National Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah, fair. Big loss.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
We no longer have much in the banks, and I think that makes the new riffing with Royer so fruitful, and that's why I love it every single week. So I want to give a shout out and a big thanks to New Riff for bringing us the new riffing with Royer, and big shout out, of course, to our guys, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe, we love you, and of course, a big shout out as well to Quick Paper Supply for all that they supply. But you know what, guys, it's another Monday down. Another week in the books. Excited to see you guys again next Monday. But for my pals, my guys, the crew, Aaron Smith, Chad Brundle, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.